way that we perceive reality is through our brains. If you see someone who has an injury in a particular brain area, it hinders their ability to perceive the world. But what if I told you even a healthy brain with all of the neurons firing, all of the compartments working, is also flawed in its perception of reality? And that's because your brain lies to you a lot. Your brain doesn't intend to lie to you, of course. But the main purpose for humans in the early days of the hunter-gathering days was to survive and accomplish your goals. And because we had to often react swiftly to emergencies and opportunities, your brain is not able to analyze. It has a quick assessment. It's in a hurry rather than perfect, meditative, substantive answers. Now you combine that with the complexity of the world. As a result, your brain makes shortcuts, and it assumes a lot of things, which can lead to a lot of predictable mistakes. But your brain takes in information from the senses. Even if you're sitting quietly in a room, like right now, I am alone in my room. I am focused on my video, but in the background, I notice my fan. I notice my window. I notice the patterns of the orange tees for the University of Tennessee that are on my bed sheets. But I don't notice them all at once. Anytime I bring my attention to my phone, which I'm recording on, I'm no longer focused on the intricacies of the sheets that I am setting on. And that's because your brain perceives many aspects of the scene, but it forgets them because those things are not important. So we don't notice how much information we lose. Basically, your brain commits many lies of omission. It disregards most of the information in the world as soon as it is deemed unremarkable. I also think of this: in everyday life, we're not typically asked to solve logical problems. We're not asked to make judgments about intellectual things, but we are supposed to make judgments about people that we don't know well. That's because in the hunter-gatherer days, because our brains are still in the Stone Age, even though we are living in the information age. In the hunter-gatherer days, getting around the wrong tribe can mean death. That's why you had to make a quick judgment pertaining to that. We still do that today, even though in most cases it is not very beneficial. I mean, violent crimes have went down since 1993 by over half, according to FBI crime statistics. But our brains are still wired to judge people, to make assumptions based upon conjecture. But in our everyday lives, that's kind of what we do. We don't reflect what is going on in our own heads. Our brains throw away information, it takes mental shortcuts, and it invents stories in our heads. And psychologists call that phenomenon change blindness. So think about this. If you go to a grocery store, every person in that store is perceiving the store differently. They're looking at different colors, different words, different textures. They are perceiving those around them different. They are telling stories in their own head of what they specifically are doing. And that's why nobody really gives a shit about you. I'm just being straight up. It's not good. It's not bad. It is just the truth. The sky is blue. That's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just the facts. You accept it and you live your life based on a factual reality. Not 100%, of course, but the best you possibly can. But nobody gives a shit about you. When you're at the grocery store, even if you're wearing a crappy shirt with a mustard stain on it, people might look at you real quick, but then they're going to go back to focus on what they were doing. If you're at the grocery store to get groceries, you're primarily worried about the groceries you're going to get, the prices you're going to have to pay, what you're cooking for dinner. People are far more worried about what they are going to eat for dinner than they are about what race you are, than they are about the mustard stain on your shirt. That's because they are primarily focused on themselves. I love all these people that think people give a shit about them. Like these people that think all white people are out to get them, you know. It's like they go out to the grocery store. People are there getting their food. People are there minding their business. And they're like, think everybody's staring at me. They create that story in their head. They create that illusion in their mind, even though that's not even taking place. And then they go home and say, that woman was really racist because she kept staring at me. Maybe the woman wasn't even staring at them. Maybe she was looking at something past them. But they tell that story in their own head to justify the way they feel. It's very dangerous when you perceive people to be bad, when you perceive people to be racist and sexist and homophobic. Because then you will confirm that. See, we have opinions. And then we look for confirmation bias. If you think everything's racist, sexist, homophobic, and bigoted, all white people are racist, you're going to be looking for any little piece of information that you can perceive to be racist, even though most people are just minding their own business. I've been around many people in many states, cities, towns, country, rural, city, whatever it is, different ages. Most of them, they're respectful. They treat each other nice enough. If you say, how you doing? They're going to say good. Speak to you and mind their biz. That's just how most people are. Most people are not bad people. But when you view the world as a cruel, dark place, then it's very dangerous on you and it's very dangerous on your mental health. But that's why, what is truth? Then you get to that fundamental philosophical question. When it comes to our own individual lives, it is impossible to tell what the truth is. But think about it from your logical perspective. When you're in the grocery store, if you're at the mall, if you're at the gym, what are you primarily focused on? You're focused on your exercise. You're focused on buying food. You're focused on getting a video game. And that's all that matters. If you walk by someone, you're not even paying attention to them. But then you tell yourself, they're paying attention to me. And then you start critiquing yourself. You start analyzing that person in relation to yourself. But in all actuality, that person probably did not notice you. And if they did, their brain is later on going to forget that information. That's why you need to stop believing people give a shit about you, good or bad. Nobody cares about you. Other than your family or your close friends, nobody cares what you do. Nobody cares what you look like. So quit worrying about everybody else. Quit worrying about everybody being sexist, homophobic, because you're not that important, you know? I told this girl, I said, no offense, you're just not that interesting, you know? It's like narcissistic as hell to think when people go home and they're enjoying their dinner after working 40 hours a week, they're going to be like, that person at the store had a mustard stain and a mustache, and they were 6'3", so let's analyze why that person was looking that way, because by that time they most likely forgot about you.